computer. Right. Okay. Hi, everyone. So it's Fabrice and I from New York real estate HarmoNYCity. It's a first for us to do a Zoom. And also, I hope you'll be patient because we usually present Detroit to French investors. So it's a first for us in English. Also, just a reminder, we are not Detroit real estate specialists. We are New York City real estate specialists. We just happened to fall in love with the city of Detroit in 2018. We'll go through that. And we believe in the city of Detroit. We will explain you why. So what do we know? What do everybody know about Detroit? I'm pretty sure if you ask people to name 5 cities in the US, maybe most of the time it's New York, LA, Chicago, Miami, and Detroit is probably right there on the 5th position. So historically, it's a lot of history, Detroit. Of course, it's the car maker. It's a century of car making. We'll go through the big players in the auto industry, but I'm sure you all know General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler are the main 3 players. It's also known for Motown, the music industry. It started back, I believe, Motown is an independent music label that started in 1959. It started with the Big Bang Swing. It went through the jazz, rock and roll, gospel, and you got famous with the Miracle, which was a band girl, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, all those guys. Also lately, more recently, Detroit was famous for the house music. So Detroit has always been an interesting, even fascinating city for all those reasons. So everybody's a little skeptic about Detroit because let's not forget, and we are not forgetting, Detroit went bankrupt in 2013. Why did it go bankrupt? It's a mix. It's mostly because the population was declining. Consequently, there was less taxes for the city. And also the mayor, from what I understood, was a little corrupted. Little. And eventually the city went bankrupt. So it's kind of a first probably in the US. We'll explain you how we met the local team that's there, because we are not acting alone. We have a team that's in Detroit. Well, Detroit specialists. So what's very important and what we want to go through is there is 2 phases in the rebuilding of Detroit. The first phase was from 2013 to 2016, was just to rebuild the city and build the foundation of a new city. Let's not forget, Detroit had no police, no electricity for almost a year in a lot of neighborhoods. So Detroit rebuilt from its ashes, we like to say, because they destroyed a lot of houses. Maybe, I don't want to throw a number like that, but maybe 50 to 70,000 houses were teared down. So yeah, there is the first phase that was to rebuild the city. And the second phase, the one that we are very interested with, is the city is becoming a hub of technology and muscle. someone, actually, it's a mix of different people who rebuild the city. But the main person to have rebuilt the city is, his name is Dan Gilbert. He owns Quicken Loan, which is a loan company. And historically, his grandfather were Detroiters. Do we say Detroiters? Detroiters. So injected $2 billion to rebuild the city. We will go through how the city became and how beautiful the center became. But he wants to do a hub between muscles, which is the blue collar industry maker, and brain, because all the three major players in the car industry understood, Fabrice will explain that, the need to understand not the car of the future, but the automated, how they call it?
The TAS, it's transportation as a service. So basically, yeah, Detroit this has a long history of car industry, a century of well-known history that we don't have to introduce anymore. So basically today, they don't want it to be erased and shadowed by big companies in the Silicon Valley. So it's been a while. They already started to shift from the traditional car industry to the electric car industry. So the idea is to be backed up also by local startups, startup from Ohio, startup from the Silicon Valley, because basically Detroit and these key manufacturers, Detroit car manufacturers, they really want to reclaim what's there. So they are ready to face the competition, the hard competition with Silicon Valley and especially Tesla, because they also want to break the image that Tesla had for a long time, that these kind of electric cars were reserved to the young executive clientele, but the idea of Ford, General Motors, and Fiat Chrysler is to target the average Joe and to have a broader clientele. And so that's why they are team up with startup like Google, because it's going to be a broad change in the infrastructure. They need them for the softwares, for the parts. So this shift doesn't include also like the transition from thermic motors to electric motors. It also encompasses a new concept that we were saying, the transportation as a service. It's not only electric cars, it's also like drones for deliveries, trucks for deliveries, driverless cars, all this new technology. It's more like a concept that they are trying to focus on. And
I think, sorry.
Yeah.
I think Detroit, all the car makers are working with Lyft.
Oh yeah, Lyft and Uber are going to be key players because they have been already here for the rideshare industry, and they're going to keep on developing this concept for their driverless cars. So these going to be key players to follow in this transition.
I think they have a 40 miles road that they're going to experiment the carless.
Yes, so it's going to be a huge change in the landscape of road. There's going to be less traffic, and of course, it's going to have a lot of positive impact on the environment. So this is how Ford, GE, etc. They process this change, and there are like some key numbers to reflect this changing. There's also part of the ones from the government. Joe Biden is expecting 1 car out of 2 to be running with clean energy by 2030.
And also something I like to mention, like Fabrice said, the big makers do not want to miss the boat like they did with Tesla. And Joe Biden had a big committee recently about the car of the future and the zero emission car of the future. And apparently didn't invite Tesla. He just invited the big guys of Detroit. So it's also for the government's interest to have those makers in Detroit succeed and not be left behind, because they sold cars for centuries. And the government understand that they need to be part of the future of the new car.
Yes, so for instance, General Motors, who wants to exclusively sell 0% emission cars by 2035, and it's going to be made possible with a huge investment of $35 million by 2025.
Billion.
35 billion, yeah, by 2025. So it's a very short-term goal. Ford also intends to sell 40 to 50% of his electric inventory by 2030. Stellantis, which is a group including among others Chrysler and Fiat, wants to target some sales of 40% of their low emission car inventory. And it's also a desire to catch up with Europe, where the goals on electric and low emissions vehicles are set much higher, around 70% of the sales. So they really want to catch up and start this phase of a transition to the electric industry. And then another factor that leads us to think that it's a good idea to invest in Detroit is the art scene, because basically they started to do a few things, but a lot of things are left to do, and Mathieu will develop a little bit.
Yeah, we met last weekend or
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Someone who's relocating from LA to Detroit because he believes in all of the Detroit's future, and the phase two. The phase two is to attract, like we said, the brains, the younger guy, the software engineers. They had a lot. Detroit had a lot of engineers specialized in cars and so on. Now they want to bring the software engineers. So it's going to bring money to the city. It's going to bring high salaries. And yeah, the art scene, our friend told us that he was in LA. They want to, in Detroit, they're buying, we're talking about private investor, they're along with the city is helping. They're buying little by little buildings in an entire area, and they want to do an art district, just like they did in Miami. So yeah, art, because Detroit is a mix of all of, like what we said. You need to go there to understand. It's a vibe.
Yeah, they mixed. It's a mix of landmark and historical buildings from the 30s. This whole historical landscape, and it's also a mix with a revamped downtown. As we mentioned before, they are like revamping the city. The downtown area is beautiful now, and it gives like a human size. It's a human sized town, because in downtown you're close to all the sports venue. You don't have to commute to see a hockey game or like a football game. It has changed tremendously over the years, and this mix with art, historical landmark buildings, and a new attraction. So it's going to be easy for this city to attract, as we say, muscle and brains. And for us coming from Brooklyn, we've seen the same trend with the Clinton Hill, Fort Greene, with the gentrification. So of course there is a similar process happening now, and yeah, it's of gentrification happening right now.
Gentrification, it's a theme that I like, because I've seen it in Brooklyn mostly the past 25 years. I've seen it in Miami, and I'm seeing it in Detroit. So gentrification, it's always the artists who bring first, who dare to live in the area that were marginalized. So it's usually, it's always the same phase. It's the artist, then the coffee shop, then the restaurants. The art scene is cool, so it brings people who are intrigued and interested who wants to be part of it. So usually it goes like that. So The problem Detroit will face is the same problem Detroit, Brooklyn was facing, is the lack of good school. That's a big problem. But just like we saw in Brooklyn, one attract the other. The fact there's no school will bring school, private school. So we have to understand that phase 2 of Detroit, it's gonna get there, because also what I believe, but it's personal, but that guy we met saw the same. New York, we've seen that the last 2-3 months. It's going to become saturated. Everybody came back. Miami is becoming saturated. Detroit might be the next place for the reason we already told you. It's also an hour and change away.
An hour flight
from New York. There are other signs that show us the energy, the dynamic of Detroit. Right now, 3 days ago, there was a fashion show of Bottega Veneta. Yeah, an Italian brand. The designer is from London, and he fell in love with Detroit. So he brought an entire show out of the usual fashion week in Paris or Milan or New York. He brought it to Detroit in the Michigan Theater, a beautiful theater. There are so many beautiful buildings. We forgot to mention the
Shinola
also, yeah, Shinola.
This is where the car makers are doing all the shows they have done. The Detroit, the Shinola Hotel. It's a huge place for event, and all the car makers, when they have to do showrooms or whatever, they are using this place in downtown to display.
Okay, I think it's about time to present what
we sell.
Yeah. So Fabrice and I went to Detroit in 2018. I was interested by Detroit before that, but I never had the opportunity. The reason it all happened in 2018 is because I realized that I had a child, not a childhood friend, but someone I knew in my teens was investing in Detroit. So my dad actually told me it would be a good idea to reconnect with him. His name is Didier. So we met. He told me about Detroit. We eventually all met, Fabrice and I, who were excited to challenge ourselves with something new. We all went to Detroit, and we ended up each buying a house that weekend. So those are attractive because they are affordable. We'll tell you the two niche markets we have in Detroit. We have the affordable houses, which is less than $100,000. And what we like is the rental income is excellent. It's a 2-digit return on your investment. To give you an idea, our two houses, we respectively bought them for $68,000 and $72,000. That was 2 years ago. Now it would be a little more, maybe 80, 90. Our incomes after.
So this is the house Matthew bought 3 years ago.
Yeah, they are usually 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. You have a picture?
I don't, but I just wanted to show you the recap.
Here's a recap of the numbers. So that's mine. That's my house. Bought it for $72,000. My monthly income is $850. Actually, it's a little more because there was a projection of what I could get, but I got more. Yeah, the monthly tax is $100. The insurance is roughly $40. The management, because you have to, that's very important. We do have a team in Detroit. They are very key. We could not invest without them. Why? Because those houses are for low-income people. It's actually, our rent is actually paid 80% by the government, not by the tenant. So that's important to know. Throughout the pandemic, we still received our rent. We never had any issues with a tenant not paying rent. Even though the tenant do pay 10-15% of the total rent. So they are the house our team in Detroit buys is actually they refix the house and make sure it matches the standard of the government standards to have low-income tenants. So as you see, the net income per month is $637. A year, it's $7,000. So that's the products we have. If you have $300,000 to invest, we could get 3 houses. We could do a little package of 3 houses or more houses. Now the second phase, and that's why we want to talk to you about today. We are both going back to Detroit. We wanted to go back before, but because of the pandemic, we sold the house 2 months ago. One of those, a young couple who had $100,000 to invest, and they had money slipping in the bank, not giving them much. So it's just perfect. It's an affordable amount for lots of people. So yeah, the second phase, the reason we're going back to Detroit is we're going there from November 17 to November 20, is to see what's new, and we want to understand where are the areas that will gentrify. And we will look at the second type of product we want to sell. It's more a product that will be suitable for the engineer that will move to Detroit. So it's either the center of Detroit. They have beautiful lofts. So we are eager to see how much they sell for. And also Tony, the guy we told you about, was moving to Detroit because he believes in the art scene and he wants to open an art gallery. He told us about houses that are in neighborhoods that will gentrify, that are already gentrifying. For $500,000, you have a beautiful house. I'm not too sure exactly how many.
20. Yeah, it's at least around three bedrooms. At least it's 2,500 to 3,000 square feet. At least these are historical houses as well. Yeah.
And they all come with a piece of land. They are not attached to each other like in Brooklyn. So yeah, we are interested to see those houses because he told us that within 5 years, they could be worth $2 million. So like we said, to invest right, like it was the case in New York and Miami, you need to know where the city wants to go the next 5 years, how they're going to do so, how they bring developers with them, going to build those things, infrastructures, and so on. So right now, we feel like people are a little skeptic to invest in Detroit.
Yeah, they still think the city suffers from a bad fame. That, of course, was the case a couple of decades ago, but there is still this mixed feeling about the city. So this is basically it's basic in investment also, is yet to take advantage of that, because right now it's the moment when the city is starting this phase of stabilization, and again that's going to attract more and more people over a short-term period. There is Alex. Is it Alex? Is he on mute?
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Salut.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Yeah. We'll keep it in English if you don't mind, because we recorded the whole thing to send to people who are only
No problem.
speakers. Do you have any questions, or what do you think? How do you see Detroit yourself? I mean, obviously you've never been there. Am I wrong?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know anything about Detroit. Never been there, and I was just listening to you guys and learning
I hope
many
we are not
things.
too confusing, because
No, not at all.
we are not used to do one man show. We are used to interact with people. So, but
That was very clear, and well, first thing to do from my point of view is to go there. So I have to get the opportunity to visit someday, hopefully.
Yeah, we went there before the pandemic, and we were very impressed because all the center is new.
It's clean.
Like, those landmark brick buildings that sometimes they get old. Everything has been like brushed and
Cleaned up.
and they were already building new buildings, like huge.
And we stayed in the Eastern Market neighborhood.
Yeah, that was
that used to be one of the biggest marketplace in Detroit or in the region, and now it's a nice place. You have a nice historical avenue with a record store, nice cafes, a lot of street art. So that was a very good surprise. For us. Yeah. And again, it has a feeling of what we've seen in Brooklyn, because
yes,
Mathieu and I have been in town for like 20 years, and it has the same vibe and the same
so
progress.
many similarities. Yeah. And when I said the problem with school in Fort Greene, Clinton, I remember the family who had monies, who wanted to buy those beautiful houses. They were hesitant because they were not coming because of the school. And then next thing you know, school started to build. I know a couple. I know one woman who built a school from scratch. So yeah, it's very interesting, and we are excited to go back in November. And yeah, like I said, we have right now we have one product, which is the small house. I mean, small. I don't know what I say small. The 3-bedroom, 1-bath brick house for less than 90,000, more or less. And we're eager to look for bigger houses in better, not bigger, but because the houses we sell, the small ones, they are spread out outside of New York for low income, middle income. But the new houses we want to look at are more around the city areas that could gentrify, just like Brooklyn did. And also, we forgot to mention that the last 5-10 years, Brooklyn finally realized that they had all those sections by the river that are beautiful, and every city developed them because, yeah, it's just beautiful to be by the river. And Michigan and Detroit has the same thing, the riverfront. So that's also something that we want to look at and consider.
The typical old warehouses with the brick, the original architecture from the east of the US. Yeah, that reminded us last time the neighborhood of Dumbo in Brooklyn. All these old factories turned into residential housings,
And Alex, I know you're into fashion and art, but check out the Bottega Veneta. They had the fashion show, I think it was 4 days ago.
Yeah, I will.
It's the Michigan Theater it's kind of crazy. I wish, can you find a picture? It's a parking lot now, And on top of it, you have the beautiful theater ceiling, and it's just, I'm not too sure. I have to do some more search, but right now it's a parking lot. So they had the fashion show right there. It was pretty cool. Oh yeah, yeah, right here.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm just Googling it.
So yeah, I think, and like I said, when you ask people to mention cities that they know in the US, Detroit is always going to be there. Maybe not top 5, but definitely top 10. We forgot the 8 Miles movie too. How long have we been recording?
30 minutes.
Okay. We only have 40 minutes. And also the railroad station.
The central station.
Central station is the biggest.
That was, I would say, I would compare with Grand Central, and that's a much taller building. And a couple of years ago, Ford took over the building to develop some engineering and the electrical vehicles. And yeah, it's a part of this big hub, which we kind of assimilate to a small Silicon Valley per se in Detroit. So that's part of the switch, the shift in the city.
Yeah, because the transportation, the new transportation of the future, transportation as a service, TaaS, it's all the parts you need for the car, but it's also the infrastructure, the roads, all of that. So it's going to attract the brains, but also the muscles. It's a lot of people who, and Amazon, Tony said that north of Detroit, there's a big Amazon center that's going to create 5,000 jobs, mostly blue collars. Yeah. It's a huge building. All right. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So Alex, you come to New York soon, right?
Yep, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Hopefully they can
your message.
get
Hopefully
me.
I'll see you for sure.
Great.
All right.
So glad to be back.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. The city is packed right now. It's crazy. Really, really packed.
Like back in the day.
Oh, is it?
Yes, most definitely.
Well, thank you very much, guys.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks
Thank you for being here.
And we'll talk about this in French in 2 weeks.
We can send you sample of the recaps, like the examples of the houses we've been selling, and the info on the return, like the little recap we showed earlier. I can send it to you.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, guys.
All right.
So yeah, you have our email, info@harmonycity.com. And you can follow us on Instagram. And we're here to answer any questions. We can do that again on a one-on-one phone call or anything. Yeah, we're here to answer more questions. And keep in mind, we're going there November 17th to November 20. You don't need to come with us because they are pretty straightforward products.
And our partners are going to be there. Both of them, Tony and Didier, are going to be there too.
And the local team. Yeah, we could take video. We can do FaceTime. From there, we can take pictures. We are going there 3 days to focus on real estate. So anytime. Bye, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Salut les gars.
Salut.